Y'all are
Well,
good.
welcome in. Campo and Joe on a beautiful Tuesday. Temperatures are warming up. They're talking about record-setting temperatures. We want to know if the Jaguars are going to set any records this year. Welcome to Coach Dave Campo's Trophy Room and Joe C's Sports Lounge. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. This is a beautiful day. You know, it's always great that the Lord does a good job of, after a storm, giving you a beautiful day. And today's one of those.
All right, listen. All right. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get our stream working where the internet's going to cooperate with us a little bit. We'll see how it goes. But Yoda, a.k.a. Jacob, is working on it, trying to make sure that we're good to go. But I feel like we need to talk about the rookie mini camps, some camps. Coach Camps, that was his nickname back in the day. So camp observations coming up here in a second. But the first thing we need to get into, Coach, is the fact that it has been confirmed that the Jaguars and the Rams are going to play October 19th at Wembley Stadium, and it's going to be on NFL Network. That's that early kick against James Gladstone's old team and Liam Cohen's old team. What do you think?
Well, you know, that's interesting. I think there's already been an effect of having Travis Hunter here and the combination of Gladstone coming in from the LA Rams and all the different dynamics there with the coaching staff. To have that game on a national game like that is really great. And I think that that's the effect that this new regime has had nationally.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're going to be looking at, we're going to find out what the actual whole schedule looks like coming up tomorrow. And I know everyone's going to be amped up for it. That's for sure. But yeah, the Travis Hunter effect, the idea that he has created a buzz, which is what they were hoping for on and off the field. We're going to get to what you saw from him on the field, but he's creating a buzz. People are going to want to see him. We don't know if they're going to have any primetime games, but my guess is they probably will get a Monday night, a Thursday night. I don't know if they'll get Sunday night, Coach, but I definitely think they're going to be in prime time at least once or twice.
Yeah, I think people are looking at the Jaguars a little differently right now, which is great. You know, I think that I think the fans are energized in Jacksonville for sure after being at the minicamp practice the other day. The enthusiasm in the stands, all that was fantastic. And again, you still have to do it on the field, but I think we're getting off to a good start right here.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get to the camp observations. Like you said, it's very minimal right now because they're doing a lot of drills. They're doing a lot of teaching, instruction in the classroom, then trying to carry it out onto the field. But you were out there Saturday and you saw some things. So at least give us an idea of what struck you.
Well, the first thing that struck me was that Travis Hunter's a different cat. And again, you know, obviously, without pads, guys are running around. They all look pretty athletic and everything. But there's certain guys that just jump out at you. And just watching him move around, just the energy of him dancing a little bit when he was waiting to go. He just has that it factor to him. That stuck out to me more than anything else. And I think Liam Cohen made a great comment in the press conference afterwards. He ran a route, blew a shoe off, and still made the play. So you can look at that two ways. Either they need new shoes, a different size, or the guy is so fast he ran right out of his shoes and still was able to make a play. So the guy is a different cat. And, listening to him in the press conference, he's no nonsense. He's got a smile on his face, very confident. I think the guy's a special guy, and I think he's going to prove that going forward. That's the first thing that stuck out. The other thing probably that stuck out. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. I wanted to stay on him for 1 second, and then we'll jump to the other guys that jumped out. But I think more than anything else, there's just this level of enthusiasm, Coach, that's sky high for both the player and the coaching staff. And everybody just kind of needs to make sure that it's somewhat measured, that they don't ask or throw a lot at him, at least right away. Now, you know as well as I do, his personality screams, give it to me. I want as much responsibility as I can possibly get my hands on. But I still think it's got to be measured throughout this offseason.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, we're just talking about, what they look like in the first time they get on the field. And obviously, in that situation, there was a lot of walking and talking going on as far as the team part of it. But the one thing you can see in drills, there's a couple things you can see in drills. First of all, you can see acceleration. And, watching Tootin, for example, there's no question the guy runs a 4.3. I mean, the guy can accelerate. Now, watching tape on him, looking at him, he reminds me a little of Maurice Jones-Drew because he's compact. Yeah. He's got that look to him. He's got the ability to accelerate, which Drew did as well. Watching him on tape, I think the only thing that's a little bit different is that sometimes there's a little too much collision with him. He doesn't look to me that has that quick sidestep and some of the stuff downfield, but he gets to the second level. You can see he gets to the second level quick. And once he gets to the third level, there aren't a lot of people going to catch him. And so that stuck out to me. The other thing that stuck out to me, what I said last year about Mason Smith, that when I saw him on the sled, I said, listen, this guy has got the tools, the power, and the get off on the ball that shows that he's got, something to him. Well, that's the same thing I saw out of Milam. When you look at Milam, that's a big, solid-looking dude that comes off the football with some power. Now, the difference between those two guys, though, is I didn't know what to expect from Mason Smith, and it kind of played out a little bit during the season when he was a scratch without knowing exactly why he was scratched for ball games. That intangible factor that has to come out. Watching Milam and listening to people talk about Milam, there is no question about that. I think that the one thing you're getting with Milam is a guy that loves the game, the intangible part of it as far as his work ethic, his confidence, his toughness, his love of the game, all those things are there. So I'm excited about him because I think he's a guy that not only has the athletic skill and the size and all the things you're looking for there, but he also has the intangibles. The other guy that stuck out to me is Kaiser. Believe it or not, I didn't know what to expect from Kaiser because Kaiser reminds me of Tommy McManus. He's a linebacker that everybody said, well, you know what? He's a little bit slow. He doesn't have that great speed that you're looking for. He's disciplined and all those things. That's Kaiser. When I watched him on tape a little extra this last week, the guy doesn't miss tackles, and he knows where he's going, and he's physical. And that's McManus. A lot of people said McManus. Now, McManus wasn't drafted. There's a difference. This guy was drafted because his production was outstanding. But those things stuck out to me because watching him move around, he has that ability to get where he wants to get pretty quickly.
Yeah, John, one of our viewers on the stream asked about Kaiser, wanting to know what you thought of him. So I'm glad you jumped on that one because he's a guy they're all trying to figure out what these guys represent on the next level. They were all successful. They were all decorated as far as what they did for their teams, like Kaiser being a captain for the Fighting Irish. But that's a guy that you want to see represent a level up in terms of special teams play, being a reliable backup when it comes to this linebacking core. And, Coach, let's be real. We don't know what the future is for Devin Lloyd after this year. They didn't pick up the fifth-year option. Right. We don't know what the future is for Chad Muma. Ventrell Miller, you hope, grows into being a pretty good option at linebacker. He definitely played a heck of a lot down the stretch last year. But linebacking core-wise, we really don't know what the makeup of this team is. And Kaiser definitely could be a special teamer and then a guy that's on the climb on that depth chart.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I think the one thing that's really stuck out to me, the thing that makes me the most excited, I'm pretty pumped up after being over there, but not only being over there, but watching more tape. Once you get the guys here, now you can kind of zero into some guys. The other guy I haven't mentioned yet is Ransaw, because I'm really excited about Ransaw because he reminds me of Darren Woodson. Watching him on the field, Woodson was a guy that played nickel for us and safety. His overall, production as far as, numbers of tackles, all those things weren't there in college because he was basically a weak side outside linebacker, which is, that's like a strong safety. He didn't have a lot. He played a lot of man-to-man, which is Ransaw. Ransaw played a lot of man-to-man on the slot, which kind of cuts your production a little bit as opposed to a guy that sees stuff, right? But he played every position. And I had a little conversation with Anthony Campanile there, and they're going to play a great deal of quarters, which is a covered safety. He's perfect for it. Watching him, the one thing that stands out to me about Gladstone and Cohen and this group, they know what they want their team to look like. Every guy you're talking to has the same traits. They love the game. They're tough. They're physical. Ransaw is a great tackler. There's no question about it. The move to safety is going to be unbelievable, in my opinion. I think he fits in. He's a guy that loves the game. When you talk to people from Tulane, who I know a guy from Tulane, they say that this guy can do everything. And so to me, I'm just really pumped up after watching him run around. And there's another guy that can run now. That guy's got outstanding speed. So as a coverage safety and a guy that has corner skills, playing safety, that's physical and makes good tackles, I love those guys. Those are the guys that make a difference in what goes on the field.
All right, you guys watching on the stream, we appreciate it. Throw some comments our way. Coach Campo, you can feel the fire in his belly as he's fired up for it. So we got the Camp's observations, and we got a couple of them that have asked on the chat section just about the undrafted free agents that got your attention, because these are the guys that you and I spent some time on Friday talking about coming to this rookie minicamp and having a chance maybe to jump in and stand out. Any of those guys that you locked in on? Because we mentioned a couple of the receivers, one from North Carolina, one from Duke, the kid from Colorado, who definitely comes in with some praise along the defensive line and the safety position. A couple of kids from Colorado. Who jumped out for you?
Well, it's hard to look at the D linemen, because they didn't do probably enough to and I was looking at basically Milam. When I looked at the big guys, I was looking at Milam and Monheim, the kid from USC, a little bit. I didn't get much with the D line, but watching the receivers, because obviously they were going the whole time athletically. The guys that stood out to me is Pankole, the kid from Duke. He's got great speed. He's got quickness. And he was kind of looked to me in the Hunter mold. Pretty quick, good athlete, speed, caught the ball pretty effortlessly. He probably stuck out to me more than anybody else on any of them. But there are a couple other guys. Lassiter, the kid that his dad played in the league, looked pretty good. The only thing I don't know about him is just overall speed. He's a guy that is probably a 4.58, a 4.6 guy, but he's got good size. He's got good traits. I liked what I saw of him. Those are probably the two guys that stuck out to me more than anything else with those young guys. I think the receivers are going to have the best chance, in my opinion, of one of those young guys making it, because they have athletic ability. But again, in talking to people, they all have the same traits. That listen, Gladstone, you've heard me say a lot of times that for a team to be successful, Everybody has to be on the same page of what they want that team to look like. Yeah. And when they went through this draft and the free agent guys, they made a big push to have guys that have those traits that you need on that football team. And everybody has a role. You know, it's not just the Hunters of the world or the Trevor Lawrences of the world. The majority of that football team are guys, if they love the game and have great work ethics and all those kind of things, they're the ones that make up the great teams. And again, that's what I saw on the field. I saw guys working hard, scrambling around, doing things. To me, that's what excited me on a very limited basis.
Yeah, one of the guys on the chat, Jason, says you could make sense out of every pick as far as what they're expected to bring to the team. Extremely refreshing. And I think both Coach and I will go along with that, Jason, because I think that's what you're saying, Coach, is that there is intent with everything they've done during the offseason to find the guys that fit a certain profile. And we can go ahead and throw out that intangibly rich phrase a bunch, but it is pretty dang simple. Find guys that are fast, that understand the game, know that they're going to put in the work to be as best as they possibly can, and they're going to be good teammates, bright individuals, hardware, software, all that stuff that we like to talk about. If you've got all that working together, then you're going to find, like one guy said, hey, Kaiser reminds him of Puz. Paul Posluszny was that type of guy.
Yeah, and I agree with him. That's what he appears to me to be. And you can't look. The heart of the man is big. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of great athletes that don't make it in the NFL. There's a lot of guys like the McManuses, the Posluszny's, the Keachleys, the guys that have that special quality. And that's what they're looking for here. And hopefully they got those kind of guys. Look, in the D-line, you know, the signing of Agba, for example, he's proven that he can help us as a third pass rusher and could start if he had to. So those young defensive linemen, if they've got the qualities that you're looking for, which they appear to have, or else they wouldn't be in this draft class, is what I'm trying to get across. The approach that they took with that, this staff to me looks like they are not going to move away from the standard. And the standard is love of the game, toughness, physical guys and I think that they have seen enough of the Mason Smith, those kind of guys, to know that there's something there. They've got to bring that out. But the really way you get that team deal is to bring guys in that have those traits and that are good people along with, being good football players. I talked to Ransolph for a minute. He was walking off the field. I just introduced myself and said hello. What a nice, humble guy. You know, those are the kind of guys I like. Bring those young guys in. You know, they have something like 31 first-year guys on this team. Those are the guys I loved coaching because they're moldable. And if you got good teachers, and what I see from Campanile, he fired me up. I'm going to tell you right now, if the guys are all like that, they can put together a group that can become a team. And if everybody is a role guy, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, good pieces of clay, and you're the potter, okay? You're the guy that's in charge of molding them into something. And I'm pretty sure Campo got fired up by Campanile, kind of like maybe you had fire with your coaching days back then, because you would get guys going. And let's at least, we've got about a few minutes left before we're done with our stream, but let's at least talk a little bit about that part of it, is that the enthusiasm from a coaching staff can feed into enthusiasm in that locker room, because they're all going to come together. And if you have these young, bright minds that are coaching them up and selecting the talent, and then you put them all in the same setting, and then they start to create their own culture inside there, like you said, 31 young guys, the draft picks and the undrafted free agents, that's a good group to start with. Yeah.
And again, I go back to I've said this from day one, that as soon as they started bringing these guys in, they all have kind of a convergent background with each other, for some way, shape, or form. They may not even have been with each other, physically, but they all come from the same tree. And that's what we had coming in from Miami back in the day with the Cowboys. We had 6 guys off the coaching staff of the Cowboys when we got here, and none of us had any NFL experience. But the one thing we did have was we knew what it took to be a champion, and we were teachers. Mm-hmm. And it looks to me like those are the kind of guys that Liam Cohen and Gladstone brought into this program. And to me, the energy level is what was missing. When you got a guy come out and say, I saw some quit in the team during the course of a season, there's something wrong. And a lot of that is energy level, taking no for an answer. When it gets to the end of a ball game, I'm gonna get it done, period. Hopefully that's what they've got here. And I think that's a really good start.
All right, we're going to wrap ours up. We'll save the schedule for Friday with our show, which we will be back on at 10:10 on Friday. So thanks to all y'all for hanging out with us. But we will definitely get into the schedule a bunch. We already know the Rams, October 19th, Wembley Stadium, across the pond, and then we're going to find out what the rest of them look like. The opponents at home. When are you going to see them? You got Carolina, you got Kansas City, you've got the Jets, the Seahawks, the Chargers, along with the AFC South, and then on the road, a bunch of them on the road, out to Arizona, out to Denver, up to Cincinnati, Vegas, the 49ers, along with the rest of the AFC South. So we will definitely dig in on that, Coach, on Friday. Now, you and I hopefully will talk to Brent Pry, coach of Virginia Tech. Bashal Tootin was his running back, so hopefully we'll get with him today. You and I are headed up to Amelia Island for the second day of the ACC spring meetings. We're going to have Mario Cristobal on around 3:20. At least that's the forecast right now. So we will see you and the rest of the audience up there.
I wore my University of Miami national championship ring today because we're going to talk to Mario Cristobal a little bit later today.
I love it. I love it. You'll get him fired up. He needs to be as good a coach as he was a player. That's what Canes fans are hoping for. All right, Coach, we will see you up there. Thanks to Yoda, young Jacob, for making sure that he basically shepherds us through the stream. So we appreciate him for hanging out with us and all y'all as well. We'll talk to you this afternoon on XL Primetime and then Friday at 10:10.
Thanks, Jacob.